welcome back to another episode of the Sports Talk podcast, and today I'm joined by a man who needs no introduction. However, I'm going to give him one anyway for the sake of the podcast. A man by the name of Josh Revell, or aka Valtteri Bottas's clone. Thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate this. I've been a huge fan of yours for a long time now. I think for me and a lot of other people that I've spoken to recently, you're the first Formula One YouTuber that ever came up on YouTube for us. So,
oh, really?
No, because Formula One YouTube's really only kicked off in the last, I don't know, maybe
sort of
year and a bit.
months, something like that. Yeah,
year and a bit. And then since then, I'm sure you know through your subscribers, it's absolutely rocketed. The whole thing has kind of just gone out of proportion, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was basically before I don't want to say I'm the pioneer in any of that crap. I don't want to be the
talk about
white
yourself,
knight
mate.
and the savior and all that other garbage, even though my ego is big enough to do that shit.
Yeah.
The point is that before I arrived on the scene, it was really just bloggers and WTF1.
Yeah.
And I was like, everyone takes the sport too bloody seriously. What happens if you put a YouTube channel in the hands of a lunatic? And that's
which
how
you
it all
are, which you
kicked off.
certainly are, mate. I've watched your videos for so long now. I know you're a lunatic.
Oh, of course. Well, I mean, you gotta have some fun with the sport.
Yeah, of
especially
course.
after Silverstone. Everyone's at each other's throats. Meanwhile, I'm here just like, can we just not be happy?
Yeah, I've seen your tweets about it actually. Yeah, I've seen it's like, yeah, let's just not argue. It's happened now. Let's just get it over and done with. Let's get on to the next race, which is the best mindset to have.
Yeah, for sure.
There's too many petty fans nowadays who will just hold something against somebody. So I'm more of a, I don't know, because I'm British. Hamilton has been like the one in F1 that I've kind of supported, to be honest. So seeing it happen, and it is probably Hamilton's fault more than it's Max's. I'm just there thinking, well, if this is Max as well, I don't understand why they keep hounding him. Like, just get over it. It's because some fans just have to take it too far, and we've seen that with the comments and stuff. And the racism's just disgusting. It's just vile.
Yeah,
I saw you put a tweet out about that as well. Actually, yeah.
I mean, it's part and parcel really of social media. You know, you've got people being racist against Hamilton, and even, you know, I don't know anything about football, but the footballers after the Euro 2020 tournament. And then on the other side of the fence, you've got people, even not in Baku, for example, just cheering the fact that someone's crashed at freaking 230 miles an hour. It's like, I can't cope with a lot of these fans. Yeah, take the piss from now and then, but there is a line. There is. And yeah, it's just like, lately I've kind of turned off. I was just like, I think I hate everyone in this community. There's no medium. What there is that there's the pro-Hamilton camp, then there's the pro-Verstappen camp, and then there were just those that were happy that Lance got some points for that weekend. I was in that camp. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to wear my Sir Lancelot t-shirt that I've got.
You've got one of those.
Yeah, I've got one, unfortunately so, mate. I'm a proper fan. I really am.
Man.
My first video that I watched of you, and I think this is, I don't know if you'd agree, probably the starting point of your channel, or more so the kind of where your channel picked up from, is the what the fuck happened to, and then insert name here. Videos. So my first one was Dan Tictum. So I don't know how early on that was, to be honest. I don't know.
That was God, that wasn't too long after Dan got dropped by Red Bull, and that WTF series happened by a complete accident. It really was just sort of a one-off for that, because it evoked a reaction from me, just like, what the fuck? Like, this guy had a promising career. He definitely has the pace for Formula One. He was the bee's knees of Red Bull, but even Red Bull admitted that he needed to shut up from now and then. And it was always a problem with him. And he admitted to me later on that, I screwed up. I need to do better for myself, which is great. But, you know, at the time I was thinking, Macau winner, front runner in everything that he did. And then the 1 year he has half year really, where he goes to Japan, struggles badly. Then there's rumors about how he was conducting himself there, and then he gets dropped by Red Bull. It's like, what the hell happened to this kid?
I know, and
Yeah,
since then, your videos of like, so since then you did a one on Mojave Ranganathan, who's like, what's that video on now?
yeah,
That's like that must be
Mojave.
on at least 2 mil, surely.
I think it's 2.1. I don't check the numbers
No,
much. I just glance at them. Occasionally, it's just like, oh, cool. The only thing that does make me go, well, wait, what? Is like when Cars 3, for example, is nearly at 1 million. I'm just like, like a million views for a Cars 3
yeah,
review, which is done with crappy animation and all that stuff. I shouldn't. No, this is an alternate dimension, and people are punking me. Like this should not be happening.
yeah, but I think
But yeah, I mean, it's just the WTF's again, like I said, complete accident. I don't know what prompted me. I think whatever the next one was, it was another case of, well, what happened to this? Like, it's not like the WTFs aren't just me picking apart drivers and teams that just fell over when they went to Formula One.
yeah.
There was a story behind all of them. So
But that's the thing.
yeah,
So
I
you've
mean,
chosen the right people to do it about, I think. So
people,
like,
entities, whatever. So like the last one
yeah,
was last year, and it's like,
hmm
they won the World Rally Championship 10 times, and now they make a rebadged Fiat 500. Like, what the hell happened to them? My mistake doing that particular video, however, was giving people the assumption that I knew something about cars,
right,
and
yeah,
that kind of rubbed off wrong. But yeah, I mean, like they're not just going to be handed out to people that just came into Formula One for about 3 years and did nothing. Like,
yeah. You
there's
have to
got to
have
be a
a back,
story behind them.
you have to have something. You have to have an interesting story behind you before you can do the
Yeah,
video about. Otherwise, you're working with nothing,
yeah, precisely.
and that's the hardest. That's the hardest thing to do. So my question as such is like, did you feel pressure after that video to make more, like you say, WTF videos, or did you just want to do them
No, I always make videos based on what I personally want to do. So,
rather than
uh,
let numbers suggest what videos you should do? Right?
well, I got a decent idea about what performs. That's why I did Cars 3. I also was feeling the want to do it,
Yeah.
but I knew people liked that stuff, and I was like, okay, well, we'll do that, but when I feel the want to do it. If I don't feel the want to do it, I just don't do it.
But this,
Very simple way to go about making videos. And I release videos knowing full well that they're not going to get as much views, but they're stories that I want to tell.
yeah,
And it's still the way it is now. Like, I mean, sometimes I want to make videos and they just don't get made for a while. Like A1GP, for example. I started scripting that in 2019, and I think I've scheduled that for the beginning of 2022. Like
right.
sometimes it just doesn't happen for a while.
So I'm guessing that you
Yeah.
script, you like. So we've had Tomo and Aldas on, who you've worked with closely. I mean, unlucky for you
Mm.
there, mate, because they're the two wrong. I'm joking. They're lovely guys for coming on here. Both brilliant, but they were both saying that they have to script their
Yeah.
videos, and I'm guessing you do too, because you can't just talk for 10 minutes or however long your videos are straight and have everything you want in those videos.
Yeah, and equally so because I'm the worst impromptu speaker in all of human history. I can't speak. I need to sit down at a computer for half an hour to be able to speak one sentence. So yeah, I mean that scripting. You got to bear in mind that when I release a video on a Thursday evening in the UK, the video would have been completed about a few hours before that thing dropped. So. And up to then, I'd be working my ass off to finish it. So basically,
Yeah.
once that's done, I got to start thinking about a video. I got to make sure, okay, is this topic what I want to run with? I got to commit to a topic here. Because basically, as soon as I wake up on Friday morning, I got to start scripting something. And I've got to get the script done within 2 days. And these scripts generally run about 2 to 3 thousand words on average ish,
Really?
kind of like that. So I'm
Oh.
I'm looking for a 10-minute plus runtime.
So that's about 4 or 5 pages of, well,
Yeah,
Microsoft Word or whatever you use.
and that's the average, and that's researching, formatting the script so that there's some kind of rhyme or reason to it. I'm not just copy and pasting off Wikipedia, for like what some people do. You know, it's like, okay, for example, you take the Bruno Senna video.
That was a brilliant video. Before you go into it, I love that video, mate. Honestly.
I mean, like, the whole thing really is about, okay, what's the reason I'm doing the video for? And in this case, it was to say, yeah, Bruno was no Ayrton. Bruno was quite shit. But, you know, like, you take the whole thing in perspective. It's like, okay, we all remember him for being slower than Maldonado and all this jazz. But there's more to this guy's story. And, you know, you initially compare him to Ayrton. Because
that's the obvious comparison, isn't it?
Because that's the obvious comparison. Because he's got the same last name and, you know, they're family. So you make that connection obvious, and you build up what we already know, heading into what I go in to teach everyone, which is that this kid didn't start proper racing until like 18, 19 years old. Didn't start racing cars until like 22, 24, whatever it was, and got to Formula One and was still developing, was still delivering rather at a fairly decent level, which is like what could have been and all that stuff. And then he almost got into Brawn. What if he went into Brawn? Like,
it would have been we could have been saying he's the second Senna world champion.
Now, if not even that, like, I mean, even if he didn't beat Button that year, he probably would have gotten a Grand Prix win or two. So I mean, like, the whole thing is that there's got to be a rhyme or reason to why I do the videos. Like, some people say to me, are you going to make a video on Adrian Sutil? It's like, why?
He's quite a bland person to choose. Yeah,
it's just like, welcome to the coffee channel or something like that, and I'm going to make a review on straight black coffee. It's like, okay. If you're talking about boring, there's not much to this.
If you're talking about boring YouTube channels, you can use this one, mate. You can just say, "Welcome to the Sports Talk podcast."
No. You're all good. I've got beef with some other channels, but
we can't say who. I'm guessing.
No, they're not. I'm not quite at their subscriber count yet before I can start taking the piss out of them.
Mate, you're pretty good on the subscriber front.
Wanting a job.
You're still pretty good on the subscriber front though. 200 what is it at the moment?
I don't know. I think someone told me it's like 223,000. I think. I don't know. I mean, the sub count's great and all that stuff. It's good to know how many people are supporters of the channel.
Yeah.
And how many people avidly look forward to that. That stuff's cool. And of course, my channel's the weirdest variety show out there,
mate.
You got your proper F1 videos, you got your different types of motorsport videos, you've got the movie reviews, and in the case of this week, you've got a game campaign review. So like, there's all kinds of stuff, but it's all stuff that, again, I want to produce and put out there. And if people don't like it, that's cool. They don't have to watch it.
But the best thing to do is, I think Ricky Gervais has a quote, and it's like, you can't please everybody. So if you please yourself, by pleasing yourself, you're going to please like a decent proportion of the people who follow you, because they follow you, like they've subscribed to you. So if you do what you want to do, you make the content you want to put out, people are going to watch. Like, I was brought to your channel by F1 videos, by motor racing videos, but I've watched all the, what is it, Turkle Nights, and since I watched that film, I watched that film because of you. You even had I think you did one on Bad Santa, which isn't even racing. I mean, it's just what you want to do, which is brilliant, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, like that Bad Santa one, that was always a one-off, but I remember people got pissy over that. It's like, I disclaimed all week that this was just a one-off for the Christmas season, and there were still people just like, unsubscribe, I signed up for F1 stuff. It's like, boy.
It's your channel.
I'm so aggrieved that I did something for my channel. I apologize deeply that
it's offended you.
That I disrupted your free entertainment, and that you were going to get an F1 video this week anyway. But I'm sorry.
Oh,
At the end of the day, as I said, there are people who will just complain. I
yeah.
mean, like for the animation, for example, that's the most basic it is, but that's just really, I don't have time to improve it.
No.
I'm getting it improved as we speak through a third party, but
Right. Okay.
there are people today that are still asking for the bloody Bitmojis to come back. It's like,
The
no,
Bitmojis were fun. The Bitmojis were fun, but the character you've got now
because
is
back then
awesome.
I was so poor back then. I was literally living in overdraft for 3 years, so I couldn't afford to go out and get a graphics tablet.
No.
Then, Patreon kicked in. I was starting to get a little bit of dough from Google,
Yeah.
and I purchased the $100 graphics tablet, and I made up that very basic stuff. But it was in the same vein that I saw other YouTubers at. And I was like, okay, this is about what I want for now, and eventually I'll go work on it later on.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been trying to get the mouth moving for a while, but it's just
Yeah. I find
there's
that a
a
bit the
part in the
hardest though.
Daravala video, the
Yeah.
part in the Daravala video where the mouth moves. That took me the better part of about half an hour um, for that 2 second part of it, because some new cells needed to be made, and it was about syncing it up and making
Hmm.
sure it was the right movement and it looked believable.
Yeah.
And so you want to do that for the remainder of the video. That's going to take crap loads of time, and I'm already like rushing scripting in about 2 days, doing the audio, which is the biggest pain in the ass of video making.
Yeah.
If I had a choice between editing an hour's worth of raw audio and having syphilis, I think I would take door number 3, because both of those are horrible. But the point
Yeah.
is that you talk to anyone that does this kind of stuff. You go through an hour worth of audio, and you tear your voice box apart when you do it. You get rid of the bloopers, then you cut it together, then you enhance the audio. That's a lot of time put into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And all you're hearing the whole time, you can't put music in the background to sort of make time fly. You're listening to your own stupid, annoying voice over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's just subjecting yourself to torture.
I think if you speak to anybody who's got a podcast, YouTube channel, or anything, the worst thing about it is hearing your voice back, because it just sounds, and everybody knows their voice sounds strange to them, but you're almost like, why do I sound like? For me, why do I sound so high pitched and girly? Like, honestly, you wouldn't have thought testosterone had kicked in yet, and I'm 18 years old.
I mean,
my balls
for
haven't
me,
dropped.
the first thing I think when I listen to my voice back, I'm just like, Jesus, my accent's thick.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you got a thick New Zealand accent. But so that's another thing. So I want to go into like where you live and how it's different to, obviously, because I'm guessing that most of your audience is probably UK based.
Mm-hmm. UK
right?
and USA, the two biggest audiences. So
yes. So
yeah.
Does that mean dropping, like you say, before the podcast, and I messaged you for this podcast, and it was 2 a.m. in New Zealand, and I thought he won't reply until obviously it's morning, like when he wakes up. But you replied straight away, and you were like, "Yeah, let's do it." And I'm like, "Wow, this man just doesn't sleep."
Well, I can't, because I mean, like the British Grand Prix especially was so brutal. Like for example, your Friday sessions. For me, practice 1 was at 1:30 a.m. The sprint race was at 5 a.m. And remember, there's also F2 all around that stuff, and I've got to watch it because, of course, the deleted video will be coming up later on, and I've got to make sure I watch and fail. And like the race on Sunday started for me at 2 a.m. on a Monday.
Yep.
And
then with the red flag.
And especially, that on days like that, I almost pray for a boring race so I can fall asleep easily. But, with Max being sent into the Shadow Realm and Charles almost winning in that Ferrari, I'm just hyped up. Next thing you know, I can't get to sleep. The sun's starting to come out.
Yeah.
And just like that, your sleep cycle is gone. So, it's tricky over here, you know. Like, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
still pulling all nighters to correct it, and
yeah,
then
but
Hungary's going to come and it's going to wreck that all over again, which is why I'm coming over to the UK, um, in the not too distant future, just to
right,
see,
okay.
okay, is this what I need? I mean,
Is
yeah,
it is that a
I will
permanent
be
move,
getting.
or
Sorry.
is it a permanent move to the UK? Sorry, or is it to look for a permanent move?
Temporarily a trial,
Right,
you know,
okay.
for a few months to see, okay, is this the move I need? Because yes, the timetable will be correct,
Yeah.
but the close proximity of France is making me think, I don't know. So it's
Yeah, with
yeah,
Macron as
we'll
the
see how
with
it
Macron and
goes.
Boris, you've got a handful over here, mate.
Oh yes, but I mean, yeah, it's I got time on my visa, so it was
Yeah.
just like, okay, before this damn thing runs out and before the end of the world is going into full effect, let's just see whether or not this is what I need. And
You've
you know,
Am I right in saying that you've lived in the UK before?
briefly about sort of three or
Briefly,
four
yeah.
months, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I thought I'd heard you
Briefly in
say
the
that somewhere.
west, briefly in the Midlands, which was a hell of a place to start off
Where
with, and
I'm
then
in the
for the rest of
Midlands,
that
so
time,
whereabouts did you live in at the time?
just south of Solihull. For the rest of the time, I was living in London, and there were
Yeah.
a lot of gymnastics going on in 2017 in London.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting time to be there.
Right.
Um, and I loved it, of course. But everything just fell apart and
Right. Okay.
ended up coming back to New Zealand. And 2018 was when I dropped that Andrea Motor video with $5 equipment that was broken, doing everything I could in post to make it sound decent. And all it ended up sounding like was someone on the end of of a shitty Bluetooth trying to talk to you. It's just
And
and
did the video
awkward
do well?
editing, awkward cutting. And unfortunately, it blew up about 6 months later, and maybe thought, okay, maybe I've got to jump on this hype train.
Yeah.
And I
And then
thought,
ever
okay,
since.
yeah. I mean, that Andrea Motor video was initially meant to be sort of a serious documentary thing, but
Right.
you could
Okay.
see as the video went on, I was progressively becoming more and more wonky with it.
Right.
And I thought, well, this is definitely something I want to do because there's
Hmm.
nothing out there.
Yeah.
No one's being fun, you know. Have all the info in there, but have some freaking fun. This sport's too serious. It's about as depressing as, you know, well, there
Yeah.
is no more depressing place than F1 YouTube at the time. It's just, you know,
Yeah. I think since it's become
300,000
a lot.
people with a podcast.
Exactly. I think that nowadays, though, we've got more F1 creators. So you've got the likes of yourself. I've mentioned Tomo and Aldas. Like
Mm.
you're all doing F1 content, and you're doing other stuff as well. But you've all got different aspects to it. So Tomo's obviously quite good at graphic design, does a lot of car liveries, and bases his videos around his design.
Mm.
Aldas is almost quite analytical in what he says. He's very formal, to the point, and it's almost like the serious side of F1, and then you've
Mm.
got the side where you watch for almost like you can tell like you on Twitter because you got like the meme factor in there as well.
Yeah. You have those two people that deliver quality time and time again. And then there's me with my random explosions and my jokes that land like DC-10s. And
Yeah, but
if you don't know the significance of that, DC-10s always came down to Earth, but not always in one piece. So, yeah, I mean, as I said, at the end of the day, it was a type of content that I wanted to see out there
yeah.
for forever. And I mean, all the info is still there. Like you're still getting, you know, um, what you would expect of any other YouTuber that does their research sort of well, but it's done in a medium where it's just like I can get people that are not interested in the sport to watch because hey, maybe Josh will piss off someone else this weekend.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's fair to say that with your videos, you've annoyed quite a few people.
Yeah,
However, you've also got, because your videos, you say Aldas and Tomo deliver quality all the time. You don't realise you do as well. You're actually very good at what you do. I know this is going to sound like but it's true, because for a lot of us F1 fans, like you say, it can be quite a morbid and depressing place at times. And then you just come in and rip it up completely, and it's like, well, it's all a joke in the end, and life's too short. That tends to be the motto of most of your videos.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, we gotta stop being too serious. I mean, the Verstappen and Hamilton one, for example, as I said earlier, like it's just okay. Can we just admit, like it was either a racing incident, or maybe Hamilton just slightly messed up, missed the apex, and hit Max. Why is my alarm going off? And you know, we'll have our own opinions, and let's just embrace the fact that we got a close championship, for goodness sake.
Yeah, but I mean,
and
we
let's
have to
just wait and see what happens when they go to Zandvoort, because that'd be interesting.
It will be. That's sea of orange.
A 250,000 Dutch fans all there waiting with tomatoes, waiting for Hamilton's Mercedes to go past.
Yeah, and turn it into a Ferrari.
Oh, precisely. But
just throwing the tomatoes at it. Before we get on to, I want to do some F1 stuff later in the podcast to talk about topics in F1. Before we go there, we've already talked about how you say your channel is an absolute mismatch of stuff. Were you always going to do different styles of videos? You weren't just going to be exclusively F1, or did it just turn out that way?
I can't really tell. Oh, okay. It's going off again.
Do you just put on snooze?
This is what happened, because I've been trying to write my sleep cycle.
Right. Okay.
And trying to wake me up is like trying to raise the Titanic. As soon as I'm in that deep sleep, I'm not getting up, or I somehow manage to disarm every single alarm in my sleep. I've somehow managed to do that.
That's some talent. That is some talent.
That is some talent. Or maybe it's a little bit worrisome that I'm able to sleep deactivate alarm clock sort of deal. I swear one day it's going to bite me in the ass.
I need that. I need that before I go to university, mate. I need to be able to turn my alarm clock off.
Oh, man.
So was it always going to be not just exclusively F1 content?
I mean, I knew it was mainly going to be racing content, but where exactly that lay, it was always sort of an open thing, because I can't remember for the life of me when I made the Driven review, but I believe that was the first movie review that I did, and I did want to do that for a while. And then I found out people like that kind of thing. It was like, okay, well, maybe some different stuff. So doing ones on Le Mans, doing one on Rally, V8 supercars, just anything. At the end of the day, it's content that I want to do, which I know is true to the format of my channel. And if people like it and want to watch it, great. If they don't want to watch it, well, okay,
screw them.
Cool. Well, not necessarily screw them.
No, because
screw them. But
yeah, I was going to say what.
It's just it is what I want to do, and I think from what I gather, people appreciate that.
Yeah. Your fans do, because like with your content, there's so like you get some videos that do 150k, and then you get some like your what the fuck happened to TikTok ones that do 2 mil. Obviously, that's done over time, and it's more evergreen content. But your true fans watch every single one of your videos, and then you get obviously YouTube pushing a video that then it does better than. So your true fans appreciate it.
I mean, the first big one was UGE Day. I don't know why. I think it was more to the clickbaity thumbnail.
What, with him was the car flying?
Flying, flipping through dirt and everything like that. And that was a little bit clickbaity, but, it did the job, and the numbers were just massive, and it was just climbing up. And yeah, I think the first video I made as a full-time YouTuber was Pasta Maldonado. From
good
then
one to
it was
make. A really good one to make, because you said earlier about I got who were we talking about? Bruno Senna wasn't faster than Maldonado, but Maldonado was fast.
Hmm.
He's just a bit of
2012, he was
won.
astonishing. You know,
Well, he
like
won in Spain, didn't he?
he won in Spain, and he was at the forefront in pace more often than what people remember. I think in
Yeah.
Singapore he was on the front row or something.
Yeah, no, brilliant in qualifying. One lap pace was sensational.
And
Just
then
a,
he get in the race, and then he'd remember he was himself. Like it's sort of that lap 3, lap 4. Okay, I tried to brake 10 meters later into the corner. It's like, faster, there's a reason why people brake there. Smashes into the back of another car. But, you know, especially in Melbourne 2012, he was having a great battle with Alonso.
yeah.
And then gassed it up on the AstroTurf. It's like, mate, it's pretty obvious what happens when you gas it up on the AstroTurf.
Yeah.
You're going to get wheel spin. Wheel spin with 900 horsepower on tap often means
Going round in circles. Yeah.
Exactly. So that in itself is why the WTF came about. You know, you take that season for instance, and he was a GP2 champion, and we just remember him for being a crash fest of a driver.
Yeah.
And then 2013, 2014, 2015, he's just mullered by Bottas and Grosjean.
Yeah.
So, that's where it all comes from. Yeah, and I've got the next few lined up already.
Have you? Were you going to spill any names, or are you going to keep it a secret? Keep your cards close to your chest?
Screw it. I mean, I can't keep a secret. The next one's Felipe Massa.
Awesome. Good one, yeah.
Yeah.
He went to Formula E, didn't he? Is that right?
He went to Formula E. Now he's the leader of the FIA CIK karting division, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I remember seeing that somewhere. Yeah.
El Presidente of karting.
EP.
Yeah, but the whole thing about that, if you want me to explain why the WTF is happening at all.
Right, okay, yeah.
Context. It dominated Junior Series. Gets to F1 in Sauber, impresses immediately, comes up to Ferrari, he impresses again. 2008, almost wins the championship. And then we know what happened after that.
It was a downfall because Alonso's the teammate killer.
Complete downfall. Yeah. And there were a lot of things that led up to that. But you look at 2008 and you're like, okay, how did it get from 2008 to 2011, 2012 when he's drowning like he is?
Yeah.
That's where WTF comes from. And it won't happen on Adrian Sutil. That much I could say.
Yeah, because he was never, like, Felipe Massa was world championship material for that 2008 season, like you say. And then after that, he didn't look anywhere near it.
Yeah. And, there's... God, there's all kinds of shit that, I could just make videos on. Like, for example, the only F1 driver from Liechtenstein was Ricky von Opel. Except he wasn't born in Liechtenstein. His family wasn't from Liechtenstein. He never lived in Liechtenstein.
But he
was born in America. He was born in America. He bounced around from different countries. He considered himself European. He wanted to race under a Liechtenstein license. And whenever he won a race, he wanted to hear the German national anthem. Right. It's like, what the hell? He was the grandson of the man who founded Opel. And after he retired from Formula One, he fled to Thailand to become a monk. And now only 2 people in the world know where he is, or at least they know where his post box is.
That's
and he occasionally comes out of the woods to get his postmail and stuff. It's like...
That's some story, though, isn't it?
That's a bonkers story,
But that's the stuff that you say you don't need to even be, like, making jokes about. It's just interesting for people.
It's just out there.
It's content on a platter, really.
Yeah, although I do not want to potentially. I've pissed off. I've pissed off some drivers. I've pissed off basically the whole nation of Canada. all that stuff. I'm really not sure that I want to get into the religious territory with Buddhists and monks. I
Ah,
think
yeah.
it's
I'd
just like,
possibly stay away from that one then, mate. We talk about your video creation. Which are your most challenging videos to make in terms of your editing and, like you say, the audio?
uh really, I don't know. I guess I want to give the WTFs a bit more time in the
Yeah.
scripting. So what was the last one I did? Was it Jean Lazy? That I was not happy with in the slightest. I heard people say it was really good, but for me, that thing was scripted in about 2 days. I needed to give it more time. Uh,
But did you want
because
to just push it out there because you need to get a video out?
it's a weekly video thing, and
Right.
I'd
Okay.
already touted that WTF was in the pipeline,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, why did I say that? Like, I should have given this a week or two. Um, and I'm hoping to give that more time for the next WTF, but of course, you take what's going on now, for instance. I'm 5 minutes into constructing a video which is going to be about 15 minutes long. So none of the animations in there. I've got to correct some things. I've got to make it flow a little bit better. Half the audio still has to be edited still. Edit that, which is going to take a long time.
Yeah.
Put it in the video. Edit the video more. And this is all in less than 2 days I've got to finish that job. And then, immediately begin scripting. So
Yeah.
it's because I push these videos out quite a way in terms of how long they go on for. That in turn heightens the workload. So I think my average workload per week is something like 50, 60, 70 hours, depends upon what I'm
Really?
doing.
70 hours a week?
Yeah, no off days really. I did have like a mini break of like 1 week, but then I got paranoid over like I don't
Losing
want
the
to lose my
momentum.
momentum of my
Yeah.
subscribers. I'm on a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
run.
Exactly. No, no, no. So we had to stop for me, and I do it usually with Ben. He can't make it this week. But we usually do it. But we've just had A levels.
Yeah.
So we were getting decent momentum. We got, I think it was 800 subscribers in a month, which is like, from where we were, was incredible. And it's like, I don't want to stop now because we're doing well. So we had to stop it. And I think this is the first one we've done with a guest. So no pressure, mate, This is the first one we've done with a guest since we've been back. But this, like you say, the momentum thing's so huge. I don't know what it plays in the algorithm, but in my mind and in mind of creators, it's so huge to just like, right, I need to keep making, need to keep making, need to keep making.
Yeah, precisely, because you want to keep riding that wave of momentum.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah.
Even though my aim for video making remains the same. But yeah, it is quite taxing, especially when you're trying to correct your sleep cycle halfway through that week,
Yeah. Yeah.
So you end up lying in bed for the better part of 5 or 6 hours, staring at the ceiling, wondering why the hell you can't get to sleep. And you're also kind of thinking, well, in this time I'm struggling to sleep, I should be working.
Yeah.
Or if I start working, then will I be too tired to work, or will I hype myself up and continue to mess the sleep cycle up? It's just, it sucks, In a
So,
word, it sucks.
so so the way you're talking here, doing 70 hours a week, this is obviously your full-time job. At
Yeah.
what point did it become a full-time job so that you could make enough money from it to survive purely on the YouTube channel?
Well, about um, April, May last year,
Right.
I
Okay.
saw a couple of the paychecks that from Google that made me think, okay, this is about what I earn with my current job,
Yeah.
which wasn't a lot. Like it was basically minimum wage. because people here in New Zealand don't like paying people a living wage. It's the most expensive city in the world, and we get paid pittance.
Yeah. Wait, is it Auckland? I'm guessing from what you're saying.
City of sales.
You see? Yeah, it's. I've got friends
or as I
over.
like to call it, the city of hyperinflation. But you know, like it's the thing is that I looked at it, and I looked at my channel. I looked at my job, and I'm like, this job, it was journalism.
Right. Yeah.
This thing is a 24/7 deal because I report on F1, F2, F3, local championships, and that's gonna take up all my time. And then I look at Formula One, or rather, I looked at my channel, and at that point, I hadn't released a video in 2-3 weeks. I was like, this is killing my channel. And so I was like, I know I could do exponentially more if I went full time. And I think I spoke with my family for a while, you know, before making the decision. And normally they're the type of people that like, you know, invest your money wisely and, you know,
it's better to be safe than sorry.
Better to be safe than sorry, all that good jazz, you know? It may sound fun to do what you're thinking, but jumping into a tiger cage isn't the best idea you may have. You know, they're that type of family, you know?
Yeah. But mine are the same.
They said to me, all across the board, go YouTube full time. I'm like, all right.
Well, there we are. It's settled. Yeah. But do you think that's because they'd seen so nowadays, like, my parents are only just coming to terms with the fact you can make a living off YouTube by posting videos. You don't have to go through TV. If anything, you can make more money through YouTube. You look at people like KSI. If he went on TV, he wouldn't get anywhere near as much money as he does from YouTube. No. People are starting to open up to the idea of you can be a YouTuber and make a living from it.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically like, I knew with journalism there wasn't much in the way of creative freedom because you really can't be creative. It's journalism. You've got to, it's news reporting. And I was thinking, I'm more about making films that sort of go into the entertainment sort of realm, which isn't everyone's cup of tea, of course. But what I wanted to do was not necessarily in the journalism realm, and that I knew I could do exponentially more if I went full-time on YouTube. And I was like, all right, I'll go full-time on YouTube. If this fails, worst case scenario is that in the middle of a pandemic, I've gotten rid of secure income. So quitting my full-time job in the middle of a pandemic is pretty much one of the most ballsy moves that you could do, next to getting into, you know, getting on a double-decker bus with Rolf Harris. You know, so what really made me think, crap, my first paycheck as a full-time YouTuber was the equivalent of, and it's a monthly thing, you know?
AdSense is monthly,
Yeah, AdSense is monthly. So my paycheck for the month was the equivalent of £400.
Right.
I was like, okay, in this bloody city, that's not enough.
No.
Nowhere near enough. It's stabilized though as things got more regular, and I'm not going to give you exact figures.
Oh no.
But
of course not.
I'll just put it this way. It's pretty bloody comfortable at the moment with what I'm earning. Like, it seems as if I could just leave the channel alone,
and it would still
pay pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, it's great security for if I wanted to take time off. It's knowing, you know, you're not the income's not going to stop. It'll be there, but of course, um, yeah, I've still got those big, huge aspirations for what I want to do. And of course, you did say, oh, everyone likes your quality of the stuff. For me, I look at my videos back and I'm like, why do people watch this garbage? Like for me, I
Yeah.
know where it could be, and I'm still working toward that. It's more just time constraints and just for some of it, just lack of knowledge of how to get it done either at all or in that time frame. So it's a bit of an uphill battle, but I try and up my quality in every video that I make. But of course, you look at the Zeltvig video, for example, the first video I made in this format, where I've come from since then is
Yeah.
obviously night and day.
Huge, yeah. But it'll be huge going forward as well. I look at my videos, I look at the podcast, and I'm like, why do people listen to this? But then I get people say to me, I really like it and stuff. But it's because it's yourself. You've always got this thing of, I've made it. I've lived through the video. So before I put a podcast out, before you put a video out, we've probably watched it 5-10 times. So we're not viewing it first time. And when we are viewing it, we're only looking for imperfections. Because you can't watch yourself in any form. You can't watch yourself and be relaxed about it, I don't think.
Unless you're Kanye West.
And yeah, but you're Kanye West then, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't lose. Well, guess we'll never know. Guess we'll never know. You said something there that interested me about aspirations. Because obviously you've got to a point now where, like you say, you're doing comfortable in terms of living off the YouTube. Your YouTube channel is in the right trajectory. Sorry, I hate that word. Don't know why I use it. Where are your aspirations going with the YouTube channel, or is it outside of YouTube?
Really, I think for now I'm grounded in my YouTube stuff. I have had the opportunity to basically swerve from being independent as I am, but the problem with that was that I didn't want to lose the
freedom that you have,
the freedom, the sort of nature of the channel. I guess I didn't want to
sell your channel away,
to deviate away from what the channel was meant to be, to sell out basically. It's just like, I know what I started my channel for and I'll continue doing it for that. But at the same time, I've got ideas in my head for what I'd like to do. It's just, how do I do that stuff? But of course, like I said, in the year and a half that I've been doing this now, things have progressed exponentially for sure, and got to keep working at this stuff. Got to keep striving for it, and just see where it goes from here. Like for God's sake, I never thought in a million years that 1 million subscribers would be even vaguely possible. And
but you're on your way.
More crucially, at the time I released the Dan Tickton video, I think was it 1,000 subs by then. I was like, oh, this is grouse. This is awesome. 100,000. It may be possible at some time in the future, but not getting my hopes up really about that. I'm just all about producing stuff. I've got that bloody plaque on my wall right now, and I'm now at a level where it's just like, I know I can get to that level, and it's just insane. But of course, stay humble and all that jazz. Just keep making your videos with random explosions and all that other weird crap that I make.
No. But it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's a proven formula, why change it? Because you still, I'm guessing you know your analytics more than I do probably, but you're still getting the growth every month. So at some point you will get to that stage.
I mean, I'm what people would call an idiot because I don't pay attention to the analytics and stuff. Yeah. I mean, I go to the channel page and I just check the subs every now and again. It's like, oh, okay, cool, I got that.
Right, okay.
But
I think that takes
I
time.
viewed my analytics once, and
right.
I knew that the UK was the biggest audience. Surprise, surprise. And that was it. I just don't check that stuff because for me, um, it's just without wishing to sound dismissive of the viewers or anything like that. It doesn't matter to me, like
No, yeah,
it doesn't
no.
matter where people are from, doesn't matter what walk of life they are. I'm not really fussed about the minor details. I sort of go by
Yeah.
feel with regards to what I produce.
Hmm.
More to the point, what I produce is basically, if people want to run with it, then cool. If not, hey,
Like we
so
said,
what?
sod off. We said it
Precisely.
before, like they say, sod off. So that I was going to ask, does the performance of a video affect the way you view it? But you're not looking for performance at all, then I'm guessing.
No, but it does make you question sometimes. Like Talladega Nights, there was the one thing I was expecting to fly, and it bombed compared to what I was expecting. I'm just like, why the hell to do that? Because
Yeah.
no, it was probably one of the only videos where I was surprised about the performance. Everything else was about what I expect.
Hmm.
I'll release a video on Liam Lawson. I'm expecting 3/4 of 100,000 in a day, and it did a bit better than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, that's what I expected. Cars 3, I thought, oh, it'll do well, about 100K in a day, and it's fucking flown.
Yeah.
But I got a good idea for whereabouts things will be. But yeah, that Talladega Nights one just still made me go, what the hell? Why the hell did that thing not take off?
No.
Um, but otherwise, I'm not fussed either way.
No. It makes perfect sense, mate. And another thing with your videos, we've talked a lot about the video creation side, about the editing and the audio. Your thumbnails as well, because they all follow a similar theme.
Mm.
They're all. I wouldn't know how to explain it, but did you do any design work before you came into YouTube to help you with your thumbnails? Like Tomo did graphic design, so his
Mm.
thumbnails look amazing now because of his graphic
Mm.
design. Did you ever do
Yeah.
any design work or not?
No,
Just been an
no.
evolution over and over, seeing what works.
Well, there's clearly a difference between my initial ones and what they are now.
Yeah, but that's the same with
It was just
everything.
a natural progression from those times where it was, bold letters and all that stuff, which, the bold letters are still there, but it's just morphed over time into being what it is now. And
Hmm.
there's occasions where I won't quite do what I usually do with the sort of banner and stuff. Um, no, but at least with that sort of basic design, you know immediately off of it whose video it is. So it is a bit of a sort of trademark things in the same way that if you just see salmon pink all over the thumbnail, it's like, there's Tomo.
Yeah.
It's a
If you
sort of
yeah,
trademark stamp of the YouTuber.
before we wrap this up, because we both got to go. It's starting the
Mm.
day for you, and it's getting dark here. It's just weird. It's really weird. I just want to do like a tiny little bit on F1.
Hmm.
And for me, the main thing heading into Hungary, and then obviously the summer break after that, is we've got George Russell and Valtteri Bottas. That seems to be on everybody's mind. I just want to know who you think deserves the Mercedes seat, and then who you think will get it.
Who deserves it?
Yeah.
George. Who will get it? Um, it's a hard one because I think it's probably a bit more dependent upon how Valtteri helps out Lewis in the title race for the remainder of this year.
Yeah.
And really, what Mercedes don't want is a situation where the two drivers are trying to kill each other, like what we got with Nico and
Rosberg, yeah.
Lewis. Valtteri, he's a fantastic driver, but trying to defend where he's at right now is voluntary castration. He's just not fighting Lewis, and it's just the most frustrating thing to see a top seat like that effectively be whittled away for being a wingman. There's no other way to say it. Would George do better if he was there? Let's all be honest. It's a complete unknown. For all we know, he may go in there, he may drown, because he's a fantastic qualifier. But he seems to have a habit of whenever a race starts, it's like, oh yes, this Williams belongs at the back of the grid, and loses 15 positions at the start of the race, which is a bad habit, obviously. So you can't do that in a Mercedes. It's a hard one for Toto Wolff, but yeah, from who I want to be in that Mercedes seat, George. But I really can't say at this stage who's actually going to get it. Total unknown, in my opinion.
Because I think it does suit Mercedes as a team and Lewis. It really does suit them both, having Valtteri there. Because Valtteri will pick up third or fourth most occasions. It's very rarely he doesn't. He can have absolute stinkers of a weekend, and he has absolute shocking weekends, but most of the time, like you say, just backing up Lewis, doing the job of what they'd want him to do.
Yeah, so I just don't know. Obviously, no. I obviously told you who I want in that Mercedes seat, but we don't always get what we wish for in the sport.
Yeah, very, very true, mate. Right, I'm going to let you go now. Thank you very much for coming on.
No worries.
It's very, very kind of you, especially to wake up at 7 in.the morning to come and do it. You're probably awake anyway, speaking about your sleep cycle. So
yeah, still struggling to get that thing back into normality.
No, I'm sure.
That's the life of a Kiwi F1 fan.
It's the life of F1 fans when we go down under, but even when we go down under, it's still only 7 o'clock in the morning for us. Because it's all catered to us. Yeah. Well, get yourself over here, mate, and you might be able to see what it's like.
Oh man, of course, because they have that twilight race. Yep. Let's have the sun shine into the eyes of the drivers going down the pit straight, so they can't see the apex, because
that's fun.
Because Phil in Stoke-on-Trent doesn't want to get up at 4 a.m. to watch this race.
Oh, Phil in Stoke-on-Trent is a lovely bloke, though. He's only down the road from me, so don't talk about him like that, please. Thank you very much, mate. I was going to ask you to do your ending to your videos, if you'd like to, if that's okay for me. I didn't realise what a Marnus was until I googled it. I thought you were on about Marnus Labuschagne, the Australian cricketer.
No, Marnus is just basically, it's sort of a dead slang here for idiot. Yeah. Basically the same as bell end or whatever. So
yeah. So
and whatever the case, now that you know what it means, now you can appreciate when I say that. Keep it respectful, be wholesome, don't be a Marnus, and as always, you know how it all ends. Blah blah blah.
Thank you very much, mate.
Jazz.
Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for listening. If you still are, I'm surprised if you are, but we'll see you on the next one.